The impending changes, particularly in the European theatre of legislation, it's appearing that unless there is a self-regulation of your student, a herbalist, it's going to be very, very difficult for that herbalist to perhaps create a special blend or even possibly be able to purchase herbs readily so that they can continue their work with herbs. Have you got any thoughts on that aspects of the legislation, the fact that the students that you're teaching may find it very, very difficult to get chosen
Well, they may find
formalism?
it difficult for a time. As we know from historical books like Green Pharmacy, for instance, there's the rising and the falling of the powers of the world and the vested interests and people who wish to have power and take control and have markets and products, and all of these rises and fallings happen. But herbal medicine is here to stay forever. As long as there is nature, as long as there is plants, as long as there are people willing to seek for the truth, it will always be there. But that doesn't mean we're not in for a bit of a difficult time if legislation is that devastating to something that's existed for thousands of years. And again, I ask the question, why? But essentially for an herbalist, a true herbalist, somebody who really loves plants, who really loves medicines, who really is there to help people and to guide and teach them, there are always ways of having plants. I mean, if it came right down to it, I would just have a garden again. What
are your thoughts about the formulations that have been entrenched in history that we are going to be unable to sell? Because that's the reality of the situation, is we can't possibly license some of the great formulas that you've worked with from the start of Herbs of Grace, etc. So many of our formulas. How do you feel about Herbs of Grace losing so many formulas that you've had such...
It seems hard for me to believe that it will actually happen, but if it does happen, there will obviously be a period of adjustment. But as well as an herbalist, I'm also a naturopath. And for instance, my student in Lebanon, Gatfan Safi, when he began practicing as a practitioner, he could not get any herbs except for the culinary herbs that grew around him. And he was able to do incredible work and send me documented photographs of all kinds of amazing healing where it was done with diet and minimal herbs. And so formulas may have to be adjusted. People may have to be educated about food.
I wonder what Dr. Christopher would make of the way the legislation and herbalism has progressed in the 21st century.
He was in prison several times. That's where he wrote his greatest book. And such a kind, gentle human being. Oh my goodness, it was such a pleasure to be his student and to meet him.
So he would certainly resonate with the situations that are going now. And,
in his own life, in his own time, he was very, very strong against the legal system that was trying to diminish his work.
In your career as a naturopath and herbalist, iridologist, etc., how many instances have you personally experienced where somebody has damaged themselves using herbs?
Never. Ever.
And how many clients do you think you've, in your great career, Farida, have you seen, would you say?
Thousands. I mean, in England it was probably between 40 and 50 a week for years.
Could you share with us some of your experiences of legislation in the United States with regard to herbal medicine?
Well, the American way is that it's a huge market. It is so big in America, all the online ordering, all the companies, all the yoga, all the health, all the seminars, all the books. You go into a health food store and it's just unbelievable, and what people spend and so on. It's a huge market and people are very excited about it, and new products are discovered like resveratrol. And
with so many schools, etc., do they feel any political impacts or pressure from the American FDA, for example, against how does that manifest itself?
Well, I mean, several years ago there was 2 attempts at the Colorado Senate to change the laws that would not allow naturopaths and natural healers to be doing what they're doing. And it was very interesting that the medical lobbyists were against it, as well as and I think there was 50 or 60 people that were on the steps, but both those times it was so absolutely stopped that there's never been another attempt to do such a thing. And you know, you do hear information about laws and so on, and I do get emails talking about how certain laws are in Washington trying to diminish the rights of food, of organic foods, you know, of the right to herbal medicines and so on, but nothing so far.
Farida, what would your advice be for viewers that don't like this legislation?
There just are some really wonderful people in this country who are organizing, like the Alliance for Natural Health, and I think when people are that passionate about the truth and about preserving the rights of people, that all of us, everyone should be supporting and getting in touch and, you know, keeping up with the latest information rather than just letting it pass without, you know, trying to do something to preserve your rights, because they are your rights. I think there's a tremendous amount that the individual can do, and I just hope you're willing to do it. It's not only your future, it's the future of coming generations, and you know, we need to think of that as well.
It's quite a legacy, isn't it? It's quite a legacy.
It's a legacy of thousands of years.
Absolutely.
And
not challenged for the first time either.
No. No. And that's the interesting part, is I always feel that these times when the forces come are really there to make us stronger, to make us clearer, to make us educate ourselves better, to really take it to another level.